we're going to start with a prayer, and
Okay.
and then I'll hand it over to you.
Thanks, Father.
In the name of the Father, Son, Holy Spirit, Amen. Christ is
Amen.
risen from the dead, trampling down death by death, and upon those in the tombs bestowing life. Christ is risen from the dead, trampling down death by death, and upon those in the tombs bestowing life. Christ is risen from the dead, trampling down death by death, and upon those in the tombs bestowing life. Christ is risen.
Indeed, he is risen.
Okay,
Thank you,
so
Father.
we have Father Stephen. He's one of the monks at the monastery, and he's in the Monastery Church, and I'm going to hand it over to him, and he's going to do lots of cool things for us today.
Okay, thanks, Father. So thank you for joining us today. This is these are the relics of Saint Alexis Toth that I'm standing in front of, and I think you can kind of try to position the camera so you kind of see his relics. This is an icon of him over his coffin is underneath this reliquary, and you can see. I'll just kind of point the camera on there. There's a you can see one of his fingers, I think. If you see that.
Yep, there it is.
So his relics are inside this box, this reliquary, and he was glorified as a saint here at St. Tikhon's in 1994, and your Father Eric was there present at his glorification here at St. Tikhon's. I'll say a few words.
I carried the icon in the procession.
Yeah. So I'll say a few words about Saint Alexis. Some brief history. He was born in 1854 in Slovakia, Prešov, where Father Eric has been. When he was born, he was part of a clerical family. His father was a priest, and they were Uniate though, so they were called Greek Catholic, I guess. They were under Rome, but they used the Orthodox traditions. He became married at a young age, and then became ordained a priest at the age of 24. And then shortly afterwards, his wife and his only child died, and so he was left without his wife and his child, and so at a very young age, and so God had other plans for him, of course. So he was connected by his bishop as an administrator, a secretary for the bishop in Prešov, and then he taught at the seminary for about 10 years, taught canon law and church history, and served as a priest as well. And then after 10 years of doing that, then he was assigned to Minneapolis to serve Minneapolis, Minnesota, to come all the way from what's now Slovakia to the U.S., to the Midwest, to serve a parish of Uniates, of Eastern Rite Catholics who had come to America as immigrants, to serve them. An interesting story is that this group in Minnesota asked for a priest to come first, and that priest never arrived. So they were kind of, you wonder, well, why did Father Alexis Toth come? It was because they asked for someone else to come. He never showed up, so they had to ask again, and so they said, well, we'll send someone who's a good priest, and they sent him, and so he did finally show up. That was it was 1889 when he showed up to America, and when he arrived, he was of course he was Catholic. He was Uniate. He was under Rome, so he went to the Roman Catholic bishop, and he tried to maintain some sort of dialogue to introduce himself to the bishop, the Roman Catholic bishop, and was basically turned away because he was not the Roman Catholic bishop at the time. Wanted everyone to be homogenous. They wanted everyone to be using Latin Rite, English, and they wanted everything to be kind of the same. And he didn't fit the mold. He was basically of Orthodox tradition, but under Rome. So he became kind of frustrated with the situation, and him and his parish decided that they should reach out to the Orthodox bishop, which at the time was in San Francisco. And so they made arrangements. Father Toth and his church warden, they went to San Francisco, met the bishop. At the time, it was Bishop Vladimir. This would have been 1889. And he was received into the Orthodox Church Bishop Vladimir came to Minneapolis and then ended up receiving that parish, St. Mary's, which is now an OCA parish, into the Orthodox faith. It was some 361 parishioners that were received into the Orthodox faith at that time. But he still had many struggles ahead of him. So even though he came into the Orthodox faith and it was kind of a glorious thing, there was still a lull of about almost 2 years where because of the Russian Orthodox Church being in Russia, it took about 2 years for the Russian Orthodox Church to finally, the Synod of Bishops and everything, to finally recognize him as a clergy and send him a salary from Russia. So about 2 years he was trying to make ends meet with basically no means of support. So he served as a baker for a while and had a little storefront grocery store that when he was baker, and he did this and he raised money for the church, just trying to scrape by. Very difficult times. So he lived through a lot of poverty. But then finally he was recognized as Russian clergy and received a salary from Russia. But then he also had struggles with his parish. His parish ended up asking him to leave because there was a disagreement about whether or not priests should receive money from the parish or not. It was complicated because of there was another visiting clergy that came and who had a salary, and he didn't receive payment from them. And anyways, he was asked to leave, and so he came to Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania, and then he helped to. That was fortuitous because he came here basically, and he helped to establish 17 other parishes, bringing Eastern Rite Catholics into the Orthodox faith. Hello, and there ended up being thousands of Eastern Rite Catholics who became Orthodox as a result of his labors. So God had plans for him, and even though there were very dire circumstances, he ended up not only becoming Orthodox, but paving the way for thousands of other people to become Orthodox. And thanks to his labors, we really have the Orthodox Church in America today. Most of many of the churches, especially on the East Coast, are really here because of his labors originally. So a great champion of Orthodoxy in America. He reposed in Wilkes-Barre in 1909, and he was buried here at St. Tikhon's. And then in 1916, they reinterred his body. They built a crypt for him, and when they opened up his coffin in 1916, they found that his relics were incorrupt. It looked like he had just fallen asleep. So this is considered a mark of sanctity oftentimes in the Orthodox Church. So his relics are now here. They are mostly just bones now. So I show you the finger here, but there is, we'd say that he's mostly incorrupt. There's parts of him that are still there. So, but he's a great blessing for us here. And every year we always feel on his name's day, which is his feast day, his feast day is May 7th, which was just a week ago. We always feel like there's some blessing here at the monastery because of his presence. And Father Sir just mentioned last week that we had a monk who came here, a higher monk came here from, I think it was Georgia, from the state of Georgia, and he came on St. Alexis Day. And so that was kind of a special blessing for us. So it was always a great blessing. He had a great heart for Orthodoxy and for the Orthodox Church, and really helped to establish what's now the Orthodox Church in America. Does anyone have any questions about St. Alexis? Or anything like to ask or to see or anything? I'll just kind of walk around the church a little bit. This is the Monastery Church.
By the way, we do have relics of St. Alexis now in our church with an
Okay.
icon. We also, we just had a new icon painted of him. And when they did open his relics on his canonization, they were mostly incorrupt.
Mostly incorrupt.
I think
Yeah.
except the toe, right? Because I think there was a leak in the coffin. But yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's kind of an amazing gift. I'm sorry, Father Stephen, go ahead.
Oh, no, it's fine. Yeah. So your Father Eric was actually, I was not there at his glorification. Father Eric was. So thanks be
I was
to God.
just a seminarian. I was a young man.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Father Stephen.
So here's the Monastery Church here. You can see a little bit of that. Have lights on, and we're also doing our live streaming of our services here, which you can see. I'll give you a little bit of a view of the Monastery Church, and here's our little reliquary room where we have some relics of saints here. See that. And we have some new iconography here on our balcony. It was just done last summer. So that's all new. And I'll bring you into our chapel where we keep our icon of St. Anna. So let me just move over there.
Yes, and if you notice in the church, it's a very traditional Orthodox church. And if you notice, there was a platform in the middle there. That's because that's where the bishop stands.
Yes.
And they have a rug, and that's the Orlits. If you remember when Archbishop Michael was here, we didn't have the stand. We have to have one built. But there, so you could see. So it's a little different, but you can see how beautiful it is in there. And I've been there many, many times since I was a little kid. So I know that place like the back of my hand.
Okay. Yeah. So I think tonight or tomorrow we'll have Bishop Alexis serving. I think Metropolitan Tikon is supposed to be here. So let me just open this door here. Bear with me. Okay. And here is the this is the Monastery Dormitory here. Let's get this in. This was built in the 1960s. And the monks used to live in what's now the Monastery Church, but they moved them out into this. They built this in the 60s, and they moved the monks over here. I'm going to show you our chapel, which is over here.
So at that big church, that's where there's a seminary across the street, and so that everyone will worship there. But the monks do a lot of more services during the day and into the evening, so they have their own separate place where they can just gather.
Right. I'll show you that. Okay. This is kind of an interesting historic painting. I'll show you this to you. This is a portrait of St. Tikon, our monastery founder. If I can get this right here. So he was bishop in America, and he founded our monastery in 1905 and spent a summer living here in 1906. This is a portrait that was made by one of the monks here, who was an artist when St. Tikon was here. So this is what he looked like in 1906. And here, let me get this key here. This is our chapel. It's dedicated to St. Theodosius of Chernigov, and this is where we keep our icon of St. Anna.
And that you could explain a little bit about her, about that icon.
Yeah.
It's very famous in the world.
Yeah, let me see if you can. Let me lift this glass up because we're getting reflection, I think. Okay. Okay. So this is the icon of St. Anna that we have here, and it's actually, I wish you were here because it was a immersion icon for several years, and it still gives off a fragrance. So I opened this glass case. All this fragrance comes off of the icon. It's very beautiful, and it's decorated this way. These are all thank yous that were given to Saint Anna, answers to prayer. There are many miracles that happened. People asking for her intercessions, and of course Saint Anna holding the Mother of God here in the icon, and especially many women who've been unable to have children. They've prayed to Saint Anna and asked for her help, and they've had children many times. We had a thank you letter the other day from a couple in West Virginia who have been unable to have a child for 15 years. Saint Anna visited their parish, and then they had a child. So now a baby girl named Anna. So thanks to her intercessions.
Once the pandemic is over, we're going to have them bring that icon out to the parish so you can all venerate it.
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah.
So this belonged to a monk who was here, Father Athanasi. He was a priest in Philadelphia for many years, and then came here in his retirement and left us this icon. So it was actually myrrh streaming when it was in his parish, but then it did stop streaming myrrh, which is actually fortuitous for him because he traveled extensively with the icon when it was streaming myrrh, and his health suffered greatly as a result. But it's still considered a miracle working icon, and it's still very fragrant, great blessing for many people, and still many people request it to come visit, and they receive a great blessing from it. So anyways, our icon is Saint Anna, and I'll show you the rest of it.
Why is all of that jewelry on?
Yes, those are like thank yous people have left for Saint Anna. It's just a kind of more of a pious, maybe Greek custom to decorate icons like that, and it's not necessarily the norm or anything. It's just something kind of a pious custom that you see is maybe particularly like in Greece.
Yeah, if you go to like Europe, you'll see a lot of icons will have stuff around it, particularly in Greece, and so it's kind of a
I don't know. It strikes me as being more Roman Catholic, but maybe not true.
Yeah, but it's not an uncommon thing. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah. So anyway, so here it's a small chapel. This is mostly for the Brotherhood. We have liturgy here a few times a year, and then we use this for prayer services and confession sometimes, and just another chapel for the Monastery Brotherhood. So,
how many monks do you have now?
I think it's about 16. I'm not sure exact number, to be honest, but I think it's about 16. Depends how you. I think Metropolitan Tikon.
Yeah.
Brotherhood, but he doesn't live here, but so I think it's 16. So yeah, let me turn the slide off. I'm gonna take you. Let's see here. I'm gonna take you out here. We're gonna go to the museum. Show you that, and we'll take a little walk, a little hike here. You can kind of see the monastery.
And see where those trees are. Behind those trees and down the hill is the cemetery, and there's a lot of people who are buried there, who are kind of very famous in the Orthodox Church. A number of our parishioners are buried there. That's where I'm going to be buried. So it's kind of a beautiful place for the Orthodox Church in America, where we all get together. So on Memorial Day, you'll see all these priests all over the cemetery, all doing memorial services at different graves. It's really a beautiful thing to see.
And there's a seminary across the street. I think you can see that. So I'm just walking now to our museum, which is also where we have our bookstore. And I'll show you that.
And so you think about all the saints that lived there. So you had Saint Alexis is buried there. Saint Tikhon was there. Saint Nicholas of Życia was also
Yes.
there after World War II. So a lot of very famous American saints were there at Saint Tikhon's. It's literally where saints walked.
Yes. So here we are in this is called the Metropolitan Museum, and Father John Parrish is the curator of this museum. He's a priest in Gradyville, and he hasn't been able to come here for a while because of COVID, but so I'll show you a little bit of the museum. This particular icon here, I can see this with the glare, but glare is kind of a problem, but this particular icon we're told belonged to Saint Tsar Nicholas II, and it was in his palace. It was an icon that he venerated, the royal family venerated, who are now canonized as saints, and the Russian Orthodox Church. This is a very beautiful icon. It's certainly worthy of a czar, so it's a great blessing we have it here now. So somehow this was smuggled out of Russia a long time ago, and so now of course it's here. So forgive me, I don't really pronounce Russian words very well, but Fyodorskaya, Mother of God, I think it's called.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
Yeah.
Actually.
Okay. Good. And then Father John kind of decorates things, but here's also, this is an old Russian gospel. Let's see what he has here from Moscow. He says the 17th century. That's pretty old. So anyways, and I'll just kind of try to walk around here a little bit, show you some of the museum. Father John made this display here. This is supposed to be commemorating Father George Florovsky, who was a great theologian, priest, Orthodox priest from Russia, who came and lived in New Jersey for many years, and was a professor at Yale, Princeton, excuse me, Princeton, and maybe Yale. Yeah, Princeton, definitely.
Doyle's got his doctorate.
Yeah, this was his desk when he was at Princeton, kind of a modest desk, but it was in his apartment, I guess, in New Jersey. And so now it's here. It's kind of as a display, remembering him, and also his desk set. I don't know if you can see that, but some things that were his here on this desk. So, let's see. I think Bishop Alexis is talking to someone here, so I'll just try to be quiet. Just so you know, Bishop Alexis has his office here, so he might be talking to someone. We have a few things here from Alaska. Here, they're all artifacts that Father John Parrish left us, and you can see
Now I
that
just see
things
Theogenes.
from Alaska. This is a gospel book, a translation from Russian to Fox Island Aleut. Okay, I think I'm going to go downstairs here and show you what we have down there.
Sure. Did you show him the iconostas, the big iconostas? Is it?
Yeah.
I'll explain to you why. So.
Okay. Be quiet. Yeah. Oh, these.
Yeah. See in the back there.
These are vestments of Saint Nicholas.
So if you see in the back, there's a big iconostas. That's the iconostas I had made for the All-American Council, and it comes into pieces. So that's part when I have to do the All-American, I have to take it all apart, put it in trucks, and ship it to wherever we were doing it. So it actually, it's a pretty beautiful iconostas. So we store it there. I made a deal with Father Parrish. So if he brings stuff to the museum, he can keep the iconostas there.
The Mantia of Saint Tikon right here. Okay.
All right.
I'm gonna show you our bookstore. Second. You know,
Maybe we'll take a field trip up there.
yeah, forgive me. You know,
Uh-oh. He'll reconnect. So maybe we'll go up there, we'll do a field trip and you can go and walk around the monastery.
yeah. And here's St. Alexis here. And
Saint
then
Nicholas.
here is St. Raphael of
Yep.
Brooklyn. And all three of these saints were here, of course, along with St. Tikhon, who's here in this relic, and this was his Panagia. If you can see that, his Panagia, and then for St. Nikolai. And this is I guess it's the belt of St. Herman of Alaska, and also a nice icon and relic of St. Herman of Alaska. So, and then we have the bookstore is closed right now, but so I can turn the lights on for you. But we have let me turn the lights on. We have a bookstore here, and if you can see all of that, and then lights on. But we have a little coffee shop here as well. We roast our own coffee. So if you come, you can. If you're a coffee drinker, you can get some coffee here at St. Tikon. So, anyway, so Father, anything else you'd like to see or questions?
No, I think you've pretty much covered what we could cover. Why don't you tell us a bit about yourself and how you came to the monastery, and then also talk about life at a monastery and some of the things that they do. I think that everyone will be interested to hear that.
Okay. Well, I came to the monastery maybe about 10 years ago, and you know, I was interested in monasticism, you know, interested in St. Tikhon's, and came here and talked to the abbot, and it just kind of, the door kind of opened at the time to live here and to pray and to you know, see what I could offer, and it's been a blessing to be here. It's time's gone quickly, actually. So
where were you from?
Well, you know, I was born in Minnesota, so but I actually became Orthodox. I'm a convert as well. I became Orthodox in Washington State around the same time of St. Alexis' glorification, which is 1994, and so when I became Orthodox in Washington State, I was baptized at a parish that was founded by St. Tikon in Washington, Wilkeson, Washington.
Yep, Father John Pierce.
Yeah, and I was baptized in a glacier stream out by that parish, Holy Trinity in Wilkeson, and after I had been baptized, later that fall, I visited St. Tikhon's in 1994 for the first time, and just as a visitor, I was here for a week, and visited the monastery, and that was very interesting, but it didn't really occur to me that, to become a monk or anything. I was just trying to learn about Orthodoxy, of course. And, but then later on, I ended up moving to New York and closer to the monastery. And so I was able to visit and make pilgrimages. And I don't know what else to say, except the doors just kind of opened up for me to come and live here. And, so it was about 10 years ago, I moved to the monastery, and when Father Sturgis became abbot, and so thanks be to God, I'm still here. So, yeah. So as far as like monasticism, I mean, the monastic life is it's a blessed life. It's a blessing, this given by the church, by God, and not everyone is called to be a monk, of course, but it's certainly it's a blessed state along with marriage, in the Orthodox Church. And, here we have liturgy every day. We have services every day. Not everyone is able to do that, of course, in the world, but here we have that blessing. We can do that, and we live in community. We eat together, pray together, work together. So it's a great blessing to be a monk, for those who are called to do it. And thanks to Saint Tikhon and the other saints that have been here, that we have this monastery. And so, like Father Eric was saying, the Saint Nikolai was here, Saint Alexis, Saint Tikon, other saints too, Saint Raphael, Saint John Kucherov was here. And perhaps other people, Metropolitan Museum was here. Perhaps one day he'll be canonized as saint. So through their prayers and labors, we have this monastery, and it's a great blessing for certainly myself, but for the monastery, the monks, and for all the people that come are able to visit, and for the Orthodox Church. I think not only in America, but for Orthodoxy all over the world, because we do have people that come visit us from all over. It is a great blessing.
It's a great blessing for us to know that you're praying for us too.
Yes, he has a question.
Yes, please ask.
So, Father, good afternoon, and thank you so much for taking the time to show us just all you have shown us. So I have two questions. The first question is, what would Father Stephen, having lived at St. Tikhon's for 10 years, tell the Father Stephen who first came to St. Tikhon's? What will you tell your younger self, having lived there for 10 years?
Yeah.
That's the first question. And the second question is, I know you, in terms of your daily services, I know you have services probably with seminarians, but to what extent does the monastic community really relate to the seminarians, perhaps just outside of maybe the services?
Yes. Well, it depends on our individual obediences, how much we interact with seminarians. So some of us more and some of us less. It just kind of depends on what we do. There are some people in the brotherhood who are teaching at the seminary, for example. So they're very involved with the seminarians, and some of us are serving in the altar as clergy with the seminarians, so they're very involved in that capacity as well. Some of us not as much, so it just kind of depends. But we have services together, and it works well on many levels. In some ways, it takes the burden off of us, and it takes the burden off of them. But we have daily services; we keep it going every day. So we have a lot of help, basically because of the seminary, and that's good for everyone, I think. So as far as what I would tell myself, 10 years ago, when I first came here, I met a visiting bishop who was here, and he told me, he said, my advice to you is to keep your eyes on Christ. And I think that was good advice, and I think that's what I would tell myself, 10 years ago as well, and that's what I heard from this visiting bishop. So I think it is any capacity. It's always easy to get kind of distracted by so many things that are going on. It's life is difficult for everyone wherever you are, but always try to keep your eyes on Christ. And that was good advice, and that's probably what I would tell myself. So yeah, good question. Any other questions?
Do the kids have any questions, or Janine? I can't believe you guys don't have questions. You're always asking me questions. You notice everything. Did you notice when they were in the monks? Yeah, go ahead.
You're not muted, so go ahead, ask. Annabella, ask, they're waiting. She wanted to know why you have to wear special clothes.
Yeah, that's a good question. So, you know, in really, you know, traditionally monastics of any culture wear special clothing. I think if you go to any monastery, a Buddhist monastery or any kind of monastery, people wear, you know, monastic clothing of their monks, and it's an old tradition, but it also kind of sets us apart as that we are, like, you know, that we are monks, and it's kind of it's a blessing in itself, because basically I don't worry about what I'm going to put on in the morning. That's in the gospel. I don't have to worry about what I'm going to wear. I just put on what I'm supposed to wear. So it's a blessing. And you know, and as far as like, why do we wear black? You know, black is traditional for you know, clergy and monastics, and it's a good color. It's sort of it doesn't stick out. It's sort of, you know, you don't really want to stick out in church, so wearing black just kind of helps you blend in, and there's not really it also kind of, if you're fat, it kind of hides your fat. It kind of makes you look more slim. It's a slimming sort of thing as well. So.
And they have their everyday work clothes, like you can see Father Stephen is in his sort of everyday work clothes. They always have their heads covered.
Right.
Of course, because he's a monk, he has a long beard.
Right.
But when they go to church, they have a different set of clothes they wear.
Yeah. Yeah, so I wear a klobuck, which is, you can see St. Raphael's wearing a klobuck in this photograph, which is, it's basically a cylindrical hat with a veil, and it's just a typical monastic hat the monks wear.
And depending on your level, you may wear what's called a riasa. That's what I wear with the big sleeve. Or they also have a mantia that certain monks, when you reach a certain level, you get to wear. It's like a cloak.
Right. So yeah, so we have that here too. So yeah, so it's you know, it's kind of like a reminder of you know, to myself or to whoever that, you know, that I'm a monk, or, you know, it also kind of but it helps us, you know, it helps us to kind of to be here, and because we are monks, so you might as well dress like monks.
And the nuns dress similar. They're very similar, and they follow pretty much the same rules that the monks do. So we have our convents, our women's monasteries, which one day we'll visit.
Yes, that's true. So yeah, basically it's the same thing. They wear riazas, and in some like Slavic monasteries they wear klobuks as well. Yeah. But oftentimes they wear kind of smaller headdress hats that aren't as big. But I've seen nuns who wear big klobuks as well. So
and they cover, you just see their face.
Yeah.
And if you noticed in the chapel, there are these chairs, and they look like big thrones.
Yeah.
So they're actually chairs for the monks. So you may want to explain a little bit about those chairs.
Yeah, well, they're so we, in our monastery church, we have some what they call Stasidia, and they're basically, you know, kind of they're chairs for monks when they're praying in church, and it's just like a special place for monks to sit, and I mean, actually, there's nothing special about them. There's chairs essentially, but they're traditional. So
they have long services, sometimes going through the night. So that's for them to kind of rest themselves on. Sometimes they don't sit until certain points. So
you can kind of lean on them a little bit. That's true. Yeah. So you can stand and kind of lean on the city a little bit. It kind of helps you prop you up sometimes.
Yeah, especially the long services.
Yeah, yeah.
Kids,
Yeah.
any other questions? Oh, someone else in the back there. Any other questions? No? Okay, Virginia, anything?
No, not really. It was very informative. This is delightful. I've always wanted to go there. Now I want to go even more.
I hope you come. I hope you come. And things are kind of, I mean, we're kind of in a transition period right now, I think, as most
Right, yeah.
everyone is. But hopefully this summer, sometime you all come visit, and we'd be glad to show you around some more if you'd like.
That would be nice.
Well, thank you so much for joining myself and us and today. And it was my pleasure to show you around a little bit.
Please keep
Thank
us
you.
and our community in your prayers, and thank God for all that you do. We will remain in our prayers. So Christ is risen.
Indeed, it's risen. Thank you so much, Father.
Thank you, Father.
Thank you. Thank you
Thank
again,
you.
Father Stephen.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. All right, so that was fun. I'll see everyone soon.
Thank you.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
Yeah.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.